Chapter 1. The Ash of Slavery, the spark of stars in the breathless dust of Tatooine. A soul not born, but bound. Hear this, O listener of echoes, for this tale is not memory. It is a wound, a rift torn through the fabric of time. It does not begin, it bleeds. It does not end, it coils. From the withering silence of a dead sun, I speak. From the crypts beneath the sand. From a holocron, long-sealed voice, hollow and unmade. There was a boy, but he was not born. He was whispered into being, not by man, not by mother, but by the force itself, shivering in its sleep. A miracle or a weapon, a child of no father. A breath stolen from the void. He came screaming into a galaxy already deaf, and the sand, the cruel sand, swallowed his first cry. His name was Anakin, the Outer Rim, Tatooine, a planet forgotten even by suffering. Its twin suns bake the bones of the dead. Its winds carry screams from settlements long erased. There, in the slave quarters of Mos Espa, a child labors beneath the yoke. Owned, bartered, branded, his mother Shmi, marked by sorrow, touched by mystery. When asked of his father, she speaks nothing, only this: there was no father. The Holocron vibrates with dread at such words, for ancient Sith texts speak of beings conceived through will, not womb. The Force manipulated, the midichlorians bent, an experiment, a prophecy, a curse. He fixes broken machines with hands too small, speaks to engines like old friends, builds droids in secret, dreaming of freedom, though he does not yet know what freedom means. And in the blood-red silence of night, he stares into the stars as if they owe him answers. He races pods not meant for human reflex. He moves faster than chance. Time curves slightly around him. The air favors him. Even the wind forgets to harm him. Watto, his master, speaks of him as a clever thing, but even the cruel know fear. For the child learns too quickly, repairs what should stay broken, wins where all others fall, and the Force coils tighter around the boy each day. It does not sing, it warns. Then, like a star colliding with fate, a visitor, Qui-Gon Jinn, a Jedi, but not like the others. He listens not to counsel, but to the current, beneath the current, and he feels the boy, not as a slave, not as a child, but as a tremor in the prophecy. Qui-Gon speaks of balance, of a chosen one, an ancient riddle buried in Jedi temples, half remembered by masters, half feared by ghosts. The chosen one, born to destroy the Sith, to bring balance to the Force, or so the myth insists, but the holocron flickers. For prophecies are not promises, they are traps. They do not unfold, they consume. Anakin is tested, blood is taken, numbers spoken in hushed awe. His midichlorian count, higher than Master Yoda's, higher than any Jedi in recorded time. The Jedi do not celebrate, they hesitate. A child so powerful, so old, so attached to his mother, fear tightens its grip, and yet he is freed, but not her. His chains are severed, only to bind tighter in places unseen. He leaves Tatooine behind, but Tatooine never leaves him in secret. He promises, I will come back and free you, Mom. Such love, the Jedi will soon call it dangerous. The ship departs. He crosses the stars. The boy dreams of glory, but does not know the cost of dreams. Behind him, the desert sighs. Ahead, the Force shivers, and far across the stars, a figure, cloaked in shadow, feels the ripple. and smiles. Remember this, listener. The Force does not choose champions, it chooses wounds. And where blood flows deepest, it plants its seeds. Anakin Skywalker has entered the path, but it is no path at all. It is a spiral, and it does not rise, it descends. He is free and yet more bound than ever, and the voice that watches him from afar will soon offer a crown. Of Fire, Chapter 2. The gathering storm of prophecy, the chosen one, was never chosen, only used. Listen again, listener of echoes. For the boy of sand has left the desert, but the desert has not left the boy. He steps into the marbled halls of Coruscant, a world of spires and illusions. Steel towers rise like prayers, hollow and proud, and the temple of the Jedi waits a monument to stillness, a fortress against change, and yet, within its cold serenity, fear flickers like a hidden flame. The council assembles, 12 shadows, in high seats, eyes clouded by centuries of ritual. They look upon Anakin Skywalker, but they do not see the boy. They see only the prophecy, the one who would bring balance, the one foretold. But prophecy is a mirror, and in mirrors one may find distortion. They test him. They question him. They listen to his heartbeat only to count its flaws. Too old, too angry, too afraid, fear. He misses his mother. He clings to her memory like breath. And the Jedi, bound to their code, see this not as love, but as danger. Master. Yoda speaks slow and ancient. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And still the boy stands tall. Still he hopes. Still he dreams of becoming one of them, of rising from slave to knight. But the Holocron shudders, for what they name as destiny may yet be deception. Qui-Gon Jinn, his only champion, pleads his case. He is the chosen one, the Jedi Master insists, voice sharpened by conviction. You must see it, but the council is clouded. The dark side already rises. It coils unseen through politics and prophecy alike. And though they cannot name it, they feel it. A veil drawn across the Force, a trembling in the current dot, so they speak. Your apprentice, Obi-Wan, is not yet ready to train one so powerful. And Qui-Gon, defiant still, replies, he will be. I will train Anakin, with or without the councils. Approval. The Holocron marks this moment, not as victory, but as fracture. For in every great fall, there is first a split. The boy kneels. He is named Padawan. But the council has not accepted him. They have only delayed their judgment, as if fate can be postponed. And so Anakin begins to walk the path of Jedi with chains no longer seen, but still unbroken. His master is Obi-Wan Kenobi, newly anointed knight, disciplined, loyal, order-bound, but not yet wise enough to see what lurks beneath the surface of prophecy. They clash, not in combat, but in spirit. Obi-Wan teaches patience, and Anakin answers with fire. He is a paradox, too powerful for his years, too reckless to be guided, yet too kind to be cruel, too wounded to heal. The Force churns around him, both light and dark, seeking dominion. And deep beneath the temple, in chambers forgotten by even the High Council, the ancient holocrons whisper, and one listens. Darth Sidious, a Sith hidden in plain sight. He watches, he waits, he smiles, for he knows. The prophecy knows its origins, knows its manipulations. He does not fear the Chosen One. He believes in him, for the Chosen One can destroy the Sith, but he can also become the greatest Sith of all. And so the game begins. Not with armies, not with war, but with a boy who once stared at stars and now walks through their fire. Mark this chapter in your memory, listener, for it is not the moment Anakin is accepted. It is the moment he is claimed by prophecy, by politics, by the Force itself, and the storm has only just begun. Chapter 3: The Hollow Temple and the Rot Beneath the Light That Teaches, Blinds. Listen closer now, seeker of forbidden breath, for the temple that stands in marble silence is not as it appears. Its halls gleam, its pillars rise with sculpted pride. Its windows gaze endlessly upon the stars, as if to say, we know the sky. But beneath the floor stones, beneath the chants and the code, there is rot, there is fear, there is blindness dressed as vision. Anakin trains within these walls, the child of prophecy now shaped by doctrine. He learns to parry, to center, to silence emotion. They tell him peace is the way, that the Force is serenity, that attachment is forbidden. But how can he unlove his mother? How can he erase the memory of chains? The other Padawans do not understand him. He does not fit the mold. He is older, sharper, restless. He passes trials with fire, not patience. He memorizes techniques, but questions purpose. He is power wearing the mask of obedience. OBI-1 tries. He teaches the code. He speaks of balance, of control, of Jedi calm. But the boy has visions, dreams of futures no one sees. He feels every tremor in the Force, every lie behind every word. The Council does not guide him. It studies him, as if watching a storm form behind glass. They say, let go of fear, but offer him no path to do so. They say, let go of love, but give him nothing to hold instead. And so, Anakin learns to wear masks, a smile for his master, a bow for the Council, but inside, the questions twist deeper. The Holocron whispers, this is the oldest wound in Jedi memory, that in their quest for order, they silence the very thing they claim to protect. They say emotion leads to the dark side, but the dark side does not begin with emotion. It begins with the denial of it, and Anakin, he feels everything too deeply, too fiercely, too honestly he hides it. But the Force does not forget. It records every sleepless night, every tear behind his fury, every flicker of pain when his master turns away, and within the shadows of Coruscant, others begin to notice. Darth Sidious walks among senators, but his true gaze lies on one boy. He whispers from afar, sends emissaries, creates chance encounters. A senator here, a mission there. The game deepens. The pieces move. And in the lower chambers of the temple, where the Holocrons sleep, Anakin sometimes wanders, drawn by something unnamed. He walks past relics, ancient masks, echoes of masters long turned to dust. He finds a chamber sealed by age. Its door bears no lock, only silence, but it opens for him. The Force, Trembles, inside. The walls are etched with forgotten warnings. Scriptures in languages the Council no longer reads. Sith Jedi, Rakata, symbols that pulse with memory. Not knowledge, memory. And a whisper, so soft it could be mistake, brushes his mind. You are not what they think you are. He stumbles back. He seals the door. He tells no one, but he returns, again and again. The Holocron speaks. The temple once held truths, but over time it buried them, built new truths on top. truths that served order, not wisdom, and the boy. He feels this. He cannot name it, but he knows. The temple is hollow, not evil, not broken, but lost. The code is not wrong, it is incomplete, and the boy they call the chosen one was never sent to follow the code. He was sent to burn it. Mark this chapter with dread, for Anakin begins to understand what even the council does not. That balance is not peace. Balance is the blade drawn between two truths, and it will cut soon. Chapter 4. Shadows beneath sand and flame love is forbidden, so it festers. The war begins, not with thunder, but with silence cracking across stars. A single world falls, then another, then 100 more. The clone wars erupt like flame across a dying forest. Millions march to drums they cannot hear. Soldiers born in vats, leaders spun from shadows, and behind it all a face smiling in light, and another whispering in darkness. The Republic cries for defense. The Jedi answer, and Anakin Skywalker, no longer boy, is given a command. He becomes general, a child once enslaved, now a weapon of war. They place battalions in his hands. They tell him, lead, fight, protect, and so he does. But something within him changes. The battlefield does not frighten him, it completes him. He moves through fire like one born of it. Clones follow him with awe. Enemies fall before him with dread. To the public, he is a hero. To his master, a prodigy. To the council, a question they dare not answer. But to himself, he is only trying to protect what little he loves. For in secret, he has broken the code. He has taken Padme Amidala as wife, a senator, a queen once, a symbol of light and peace. Their love is hidden, clandestine, a garden grown in the shadow of the temple's law. They meet between missions, whispers in corridors, touches beneath cloaks, vows exchanged in silence. The Jedi would call it attachment. They would call it dangerous, and perhaps they are right. But the Holocron speaks. Love denied becomes obsession. Love confined becomes fear. And fear is the root that cracks the galaxy. Anakin dreams of her death, not once, not as a nightmare, again and again. Her body cold in his arms, his child still inside her, and he cannot stop it. He wakes, gasping, covered in sweat, reaching for a life he cannot hold. The Force offers no answer. The Jedi offer only detachment. Train your mind to let go of all you fear to lose, Yoda tells him. But Anakin has already lost too much. His mother, left behind in the dust of Tatooine. His childhood, traded for doctrine and war. His innocence, burned away by blood and fire. Now the thought of losing Pod is a blade held against his soul. He searches for knowledge, for anything that might save her. He scours old texts, meditates until he trembles. He asks Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan speaks only of duty, and so Anakin turns to the only voice that answers. Palpatine, the Chancellor, speaks gently, always gently. He praises Anakin, lifts him above the others, tells him he is unique, that the Jedi do not appreciate him. He plants seeds, one word at a time. They fear your power. You must learn all the ways of the Force, not just the narrow dogma of the Jedi. There is a legend of a Sith who could prevent death. Listens, he does not trust, but he listens. He has seen how the Jedi treat him. He has felt their mistrust, their hesitation. The war pulls them further from their own truth. They have become soldiers, not guardians. And still they lecture him. Of peace he watches as they take lives without remorse, while forbidding him from loving his own wife. The hypocrisy festers, and within that infection, the dark whispers, there is another way. Podman begins to show signs. She is with child. Anakin is overjoyed and terrified. The dreams grow stronger. He sees her die in childbirth. He feels it in his bones. He promises himself, this time I will not lose her. This time I will be strong enough. But strength, in the absence of trust, curdles into control, and control leads to ruin. Remember this moment, listener, not all falls begin with rage. Some begin with love, twisted by fear. He wants to save her. He wants to protect his child. He wants to undo the death before it arrives. But destiny does not heed. Desire it, devours it. And from beneath the marble halls, from the void beneath, flame and sand, something ancient begins to awaken. It senses the fracture, the rot beneath the temple, the wound in the force. It watches Anakin Skywalker and sees, not a savior, but a vessel. Chapter 5. The voice behind the throne are shadows. Touch can feel like warmth. Now listen, as the veil begins to lift. For what is hidden will soon step into light, and the light will not recognize it. In the gilded chambers of Coruscant, where peace is discussed in whispers and deception is poured like wine, there walks a man clothed in power, Chancellor Palpatine, beloved, trusted, surrounded by senators and servants, but none truly see him, for beneath the robes of state he wears another name, older, sharper, hungrier, Darth Sidious. The Sith do not fight wars with armies alone. They plant ideas. They rot empires from within. And in Anakin Skywalker, Sidious sees not a pupil, but a prism, a way to refract prophecy into something darker, to bend fate itself. So he speaks softly, never commands, never demands. He suggests, he sympathizes. He listens. He praises Anakin when the Jedi do not. He asks about his burdens when the council turns away. He sees the pain and offers what no one else does, understanding. One night, high above Coruscant's storm-lit skyline, Palpatine invites Anakin to a private opera. The chamber is filled with music, but the true performance is in the shadows between the notes. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Anakin shakes his head, and so the story is told. A Sith Lord who learned to influence the midi, to create life, to keep the ones he loved from dying. But as all Sith tales end, his apprentice murdered him in his sleep. Anakin listens. He should be suspicious. He is trained to resist manipulation, but the story cuts through armor. The Holocron vibrates. This moment is marked in fire, for what is being offered is not knowledge, not truth, but hope. Hope, twisted by fear, becomes a chain. And Anakin does not realize the collar is already around his throat. He begins to question the Jedi openly. He watches them debate, stall, contradict. The war drags on. The Senate begs for stronger rule, and the Jedi grow. Political dot they take. Positions they once condemned. They act in secret. Spy, interrogate, whisper about removing the Chancellor by force if needed. And Sidious feeds the fire. They're planning to betray me. He tells Anakin they want control, not peace. Argues he defends the order, but the seed has been planted, and when he brings word to the council, they do not trust him. They deny him the title of master. Despite all he's done, despite all he's suffered, He is placed on the council but denied its true rank. He is told to spy on the Chancellor, to betray the only one who seems to care. The betrayal is subtle, but betrayal, even when justified, leaves scars. Anakin begins to see through new eyes, not clearly but fractured. The Jedi claim peace, yet wield violence. They preach detachment, yet manipulate loyalty. And in Sidious's voice there is consistency, calm, a path forward. If one is to understand the great mystery, he says, one must study all aspects of the Force, not just the narrow view of the Jedi. Anakin doesn't answer, but the silence is telling. And as Padme's belly swells, as his dreams of her death grow darker, his desperation deepens. He begins to believe the prophecy was not about balance, but about power. That balance requires control. That salvation comes not through wisdom, but through will, and in that belief, the mask of Anakin begins to crack. Darth Vader breathes, just faintly, from within. Mark this chapter, for the turning of the galaxy does not come with warships, but with a whisper between two men in a quiet room. A Jedi who fears loss, a Sith who offers a cure, and between them a lie dressed as a gift. Chapter 6. The full name Skywalker, the chosen one, fell not. He was pulled. Now, listener of hollow stars, we reach the moment where myth hardens into ruin. The boy of fire is no longer dreaming. He is hunted by visions, and soon he will become one. The war tears at the edges of the galaxy. Planets burn, the Jedi falter. Whispers fill the halls of the temple. The Sith Lord has returned. He hides in the Republic's very heart, and still they do not see him. But Anakin does. The Chancellor's final veil falls. He reveals himself, not in fury, but in soft truth. I am the Sith you seek. No mask, no lie, just calm, powerful, patient, Darth Sidious. And in that moment, Anakin trembles, not with hatred, but with terror. This is the one who holds the secret to saving Padme. Anakin raises his saber. Sidious does not flinch. He simply speaks. If you kill me, you'll never learn the power to stop death. And Anakin freezes. What is justice when love is at stake? What is morality when fear drives every breath? He does not strike. He runs to Mace Windu, to the Council, to the last fragments of order. The Jedi act swiftly, too swiftly for masters. Confront the Chancellor. Blades drawn, words forgotten, and Sidious becomes fury. In seconds, 3 are dead. Only Windu remains, locked in combat. Light against shadow, Anakin arrives. He sees Windu holding Sidious at the edge of death. And still, the Sith Lord pleads. He must stand. Trial, Anakin insists. He's too dangerous to be left alive, Windu replies. The line fractures. The prophecy screams. And the boy no longer boy chooses. He raises his saber and strikes down the Jedi Master. The silence that follows is not peace. It is birth. The dark side coils around him like a crown of thorns. He collapses, breathing heavy, and the voice comes again. You are fulfilling your destiny, Anakin. Become my apprentice. Anakin kneels. But it is not obedience. It is surrender. What is thy bidding, my master? And the name is given. Darth Vader. The temple must fall. The Jedi must die. Vader marches, blade ignited. Eyes empty. The temple's doors open for him. Clones at his side. No one stops him. No one dares. and in the heart of the sacred place, he becomes the shadow. The younglings gather. One steps forward. Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. But he is not Skywalker anymore, and the blade does not hesitate. Order 66 spreads like a plague. Across worlds, Jedi fall, betrayed by their own soldiers, cut down in mid-battle, crushed in betrayal. The light, already dimmed, is now extinguished. Obi-Wan flees. Yoda hides, and Padme, she watches from her tower, sensing something distant. And terrible Vader returns. Eyes red from ash, breath shallow with lies. He does not tell her, he does not need to. She feels it, and still, she loves him. Remember this chapter. Mark it in scarred stone. The prophecy was never broken. It was corrupted, twisted by desperation, worn like armor by a boy too afraid to lose again. Anakin Skywalker did not fall. He was pulled by love, by fear, by a whisper he mistook for hope, and now the galaxy will burn for it. Chapter 7, The Night of 1,000 Children. Even the younglings dream in terror still. The temple stands still in the dark, silent as stone, but beneath its domes the floor is wet with blood. No blaster fire sounds. No ships descend, only breath, only screams that die before they reach the stars. It is not war, it is sacrifice, it is ritual. Darth Vader walks its sacred halls, not as pupil, not as protector, but as executioner. The children did not fight, they ran, they hid. Some called him by his old name. Some reached out to him, thinking he had come to save them. But he had. He came to save them from the lies, from the order that betrayed him, from the blindness that led his mother to die, that would let Padme die too. This was mercy. This was balance. This was necessary, at least. That is what he told himself. And the blade sang red through every room. The Holocron speaks. There was a darkness that day. Even the Force refused to witness. A stillness so deep it cracked time. Some say the Force turned away. Others say it watched and marked the event for all eternity. It was not just death. It was unmaking. A wound torn open where once there was light. Outside, the clones in Force. The will of the Empire. Their minds, bent by programming. Their hands, unwilling but unshaken. Jedi die across the galaxy. Some in battle, some in retreat. Some with eyes wide in betrayal. And Vader. He returns to Mustafar, a place of fire, of shadow. There Sidious sends him to end the separatist leaders, to cleanse the last remnants of the war. He does so without hesitation. His blade does not care for pleas. His ears do not register screams. They fall like all the others. Each one another stone added to the monument of his final death. Pom feels it. She does not know how. But the bond between them is no longer love. It is torment. Obi-Wan watches her. Silent, suspicious, afraid. He sees in her eyes what he dares not name. She is carrying his child. She is still protecting him, even now. The council is gone. The Jedi are ashes. The Sith reign again. And in the Senate chamber, Sidious speaks the final spell. The attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. But I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. He raises his voice. He raises his fist. In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire. And they cheer, not knowing what they welcome, not seeing the shadow behind the throne. Freedom dies, not with war, but with applause back on Mustafar. Podbam finds him, flies through the fire to reach him. She pleads, she weeps. Come away with me, leave all this behind. He says he is doing it for her. He says the Jedi betrayed them both. He says the Empire is their future. And she realizes he is lost, not corrupted, not evil, just broken. And when Obi-Wan steps from her ship, Anakin sees not a brother, but a thief. You brought him here to kill me, he chokes her, the one he swore to save. His hand on her throat, and in that moment, the last light inside him goes dark. Remember this chapter, you who listen from shadows. The children died not because of hate, but because of fear disguised as love, because one man believed that power could protect those he loved more than mercy ever could, and that belief burned 1,000 futures. The temple still stands, but its ghosts scream forever. Chapter 8, The Fire on Mustafar. When the stars turned their faces, the flame bore witness. Now the wound opens wider. We descend to the place where even the Force grows silent, where magma moves like breath, and ash remembers the screams of ancient wars. Mustafar. A cursed world, a graveyard of secrets. It was here the Sith once forged weapons not from metal, but from agony. Here, the earth itself trembles beneath ancient rituals still echoing through the lava rivers. And it is here, in this hell, that Anakin Skywalker meets the ghost of what he was. Obi-Wan steps from the ramp, his face not hardened by hate, but softened by mourning. He sees the woman who loved Anakin, now unconscious, breath shallow, heart breaking, and before him stands the man who killed him, not Sidious, not a Sith Lord, but Anakin himself, the brother he raised, the friend he trusted. Gone, I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire, Vader declares, but his voice cracks, because deep beneath the fury, he still hopes Obi-Wan will understand, that his master will nod, will accept the choice, will stand beside him. But Obi-Wan whispers, your new empire, and the final fracture shatters, blades ignite, one blue, one still blue, but bleeding. The duel begins. Not a fight for victory, but for the soul that is already lost. They battle across the burning complex, leaping over chasms, crashing through metal. Each strike is a memory, each block a denial. It is not combat, it is confession. You have allowed this dark lord to twist your mind. Obi-Wan pleads, even as he parries, you will not take her from me. Anakin roars. There is no reason left, only instinct, only fear, only the dark dot. The Force cries out, as if trying to pull them apart, as if trying to undo this fate. But destiny is deaf to mercy now. The river of lava flows beside them. It watches, patient, hungry. The platform shrinks. The distance closes, and Obi-Wan gains the high ground. It's over, Anakin. But he will not listen. He leaps. He always leaps. And in that moment, Obi-Wan strikes. Not out of vengeance, but out of inevitability. The limbs fall, and so does he. Anakin crashes to the black sands, crawling, grasping. His body is flame, his voice a scream. I hate you. And from above, Obi-Wan speaks, tears in his voice, as the blade retreats. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. He does not finish him. He cannot. The fire will do what he cannot. The lava catches the robes. The flesh, the face. Anakin Skywalker burns. Not just his body, but the last shred of the boy he once was. And yet, he does not die. Sidious comes. Drawn by the echo of pain, he lifts the ruined body, the ash-cloaked corpse that still breathes, and he whispers, "You are still useful." Far away, Padme gives birth to twins. Children born in shadow, but glowing with light. Luke. Leia. She names them with her last breath. "There is good in him," she says. "I know, there is still." And then silence. Anakin Skywalker dies, but Darth Vader lives, in steel, in pain, in mask and machine. His breath becomes a curse upon the stars, his gaze a furnace of rage, and his first question, as the mask seals over his face, "Where is Padme? You killed her." Sidious lies, with perfect cruelty, and in that lie, the final hope dies. Vader's scream shatters the silence. The walls tremble, the Force recoils, and the galaxy bows to its new god of suffering. Remember this chapter, listener of forbidden memory. This was not the death of a man, it was the birth of a nightmare, a legend unfulfilled, a prophecy broken, not by war, but by love turned weapon. The fire did not destroy him, it baptized him, and in that flame he became myth. Chapter 9. The Machine Lord awakens. He rose not as flesh, but as wrath caged in metal. Come now, acolyte of whispers, and listen not with ears, but with the trembling of your bones. The galaxy turns, but beneath its movement a deeper rhythm stirs, a breath drawn not by lungs, but by pistons, a will shaped not by soul, but by circuitry. Darth Vader has awakened, no longer flesh, no longer flame. He exists now in a tomb of armor, a sarcophagus forged by the Sith, sustained by agony, polished by defeat. Each step he takes echoes, with the weight of destiny unfulfilled. He does not walk, he haunts. Sidious stands beside his new creation, watching as the limbs twitch, as the breath hisses. This is not a man, this is a vessel, an instrument, a sword unsheathed. He has no name. Now only title, Darth Vader. He is dispatched to hunt. Not the Jedi, for they are nearly gone, but hope. Across the outer rim, whispers still linger, scattered survivors, flickering embers of the order that once defied the darkness, and Vader is sent to extinguish each one, not with haste, but with ritual. He hunts like a priest performs, a rite, tracking, judging, striking. The survivors speak of him in hushed tones, the shadow in the hall, the one who breathes death. They flee, but none can outrun the sound of his breath. His power grows, not only through the saber, but through terror. Entire systems surrender at the mention of his presence. Worlds kneel. Senators obey. He is not merely enforcer, he is omen. Even Sidious begins to fear what he has made. For the dark side does not serve. It hungers, and within Vader it coils tighter. Yet beneath the iron and fire, a flicker remains, a memory, a name, a voice. Padme not as love, but as wound, and the wound bleeds. He visits her tomb in secret, standing alone, unmoving. Sometimes the mask turns downward, sometimes his breath slows, but never stops, for he must not stop if he stops. He might remember, the Inquisitorius is formed. Fallen Jedi twisted into hunters, taught pain, trained in cruelty, but even they fear him. He teaches them not with words, but with scars. They are not his comrades. they are pawns, and pawns are moved without mercy. Failure is death. Weakness is betrayal. This is the creed he now lives by, a creed carved into him by the Emperor, and reinforced by every scream he silences. He constructs a fortress, a citadel of black stone upon the lava fields of Mustafar, a monument to pain, a throne above his place of rebirth. It is not a home, it is a prison where he keeps his past, shackled in silence. The Force trembles there. The walls echo with memories, not of triumph, but of mourning. He meditates, not for peace, but for control. He reaches into the darkness, and the darkness answers, yet still. Visions come, a child in the sand, a mother's scream, a brother's voice, a woman's dying breath, and sometimes 2 children, blonde and brown, dash-eyed, running, calling, laughing. He cannot banish them. He tries, but they return, always. And so the Machine Lord rages. Across systems, through time, he becomes legend. He becomes ghost. He becomes prophecy, inverted, the chosen one, twisted into an executioner, the one meant to bring balance, now tilting the scales into night. But the Force is not finished. It watches, it waits, it gathers, in quiet places, in unborn dreams, in future screams. For prophecy bends, but it does not break. Remember this chapter. Listener behind the veil, he who became machine did not lose his soul. He buried it. But a soul buried is not a soul forgotten. And somewhere in the stars, hope stirs. It is small, but it is growing. Chapter 10, Children of the Shattered Force. Where the blade broke, 2 lights were born. Now we turn from the shadow to the sparks it failed to smother. 2 stars, hidden, yet destined to burn through the night. They are not warriors, not yet. They are children, but the Force already coils around them, curious, hopeful. Afraid, Luke, Leia, heirs of ruin, seeds of redemption. In the silence after Padma's final breath, the galaxy splits, the Jedi scattered, the Republic buried, and these twins, born not into peace, but into strategy. Obi-Wan Kenobi, broken by grief, takes the boy, the son of Anakin, and disappears into the dunes of Tatooine, not as protector, not as master, but as watcher, a guardian of possibility. The girl, Leia, is carried into royalty, to Alderaan, a world of peace, of dignity, of fragile hope. Bail Organa names her daughter, though her true name still echoes in the Force like a buried weapon. She learns not sabers, but politics, not jewels, but diplomacy. Yet she dreams of stars, and sometimes she feels the cold breath of destiny like wind behind a locked door. They grow apart, unknowing. One under twin suns, the other beneath regal skies. Luke plays with model starfighters, chasing the shadow of a father he never knew. Leia speaks boldly in council chambers, her spirit already defiant. Neither sees the war coming, but war sees them, and beyond. Them both, Vader stalks the void, oblivious, or perhaps unwilling to hear the echo of what he lost. But the Force does not forget. It whispers in cracks. It gathers in dreams. It breathes in coincidence, and through it, the will of the cosmos begins to stir. Obi-Wan remains in exile, watching Luke from afar. He becomes the hermit, the madman, the Ben Fudd. But beneath the robes, he carries more than regret. He carries truth, a blade hidden, a past buried. And in his dreams he sees Anakin burning, screaming, turning, turning. He does not sleep, not truly, for how can he rest, when the future rests in the hands of a boy? Elsewhere, Yoda hides. Dagobah. A planet of rot and silence, where light and dark twist around each other like vines with thorns. He meditates, he waits, he listens, and even in his exile, he knows the Skywalker line has not ended, it sleeps. The galaxy, under Imperial rule, forgets the Jedi children grow without stories. Worlds conform or burn, but pockets of defiance remain. Cells, sparks, names whispered across star systems, and among them a rebellion stirs, led by Leia, a princess, yes, but also a general in waiting. In Luke, the Force begins to awaken. Slowly he feels things he cannot name, hears things not spoken, dreams of battles he never fought, of a man in black, of a flame that reaches for him, of a voice that feels like both enemy and blood. He asks questions, but no one answers, until two droids fall from the sky, and destiny crashes with them. The children were never meant to remain hidden. Forever, the Force moves again, the prophecy breathes, and the machine god begins to turn his gaze toward the light he once extinguished. Remember this chapter, listener of echoes. The past cannot be undone, but it can be faced from the ashes of a chosen one. Two heirs now rise, not to rule, but to redeem. The night is not yet over, but the stars begin to return. Chapter 11. The shadow recognizes the flame, blood calls to blood, even through steel and fire. He had forgotten his name. He had silenced his dreams. He had crushed the voice of Anakin beneath the breath of Vader. But the Force remembers, it always remembers, and now, across the void of time and war, it reaches for him through a boy. Through Luke, Vader does not know the name. Not yet. He sees only a pilot, reckless, bold, radiant one, who moves through the stars with the arrogance of youth and the aura of destiny. The Death Star looms, the Empire's final argument, a station that mocks the stars themselves, and into its shadow flies the boy. He does the impossible, guided by instinct, protected by faith. He strikes the heart of terror, and the Death Star dies. Vader spins away in silence, defeated, alone. His ship limps through blackness, but his thoughts burn brighter than the stars. Who was he? How did he know? And why, in the moment of fire, did something familiar call to him? The Emperor senses it too. The stirrings in the Force, a name forming behind the veil, Skywalker. It cannot be it, must not be, and yet it is. Vader begins to search, not through reports, but through the current beneath reality, through feelings he once buried, through questions he never dared to ask. He becomes restless, violent, focused not on rebels, but on truth, and the truth is this: he has a son. On Hoth, the cold world of rebellion, the boy grows stronger, still untrained, but bold enough to call the Force his ally. He escapes death again, fights walkers, leads his people, but more than that, he hears the whisper, the name, Dagobah, and the old master calls him. Luke meets Yoda, not as a warrior, but as a child searching for meaning. The Jedi Master, ancient and broken, tests him, teaches him, warns him, but the boy burns with haste, with anger, with attachment, and these, Yoda knows, are the old signs, the dangerous signs. He is his father's son. The cave on Dagobah shows him a duel, a mask, a death, and beneath it, his own face. Luke does not understand, but Vader does. He sets a trap. Cloud City, a place of cold smiles and hidden blades. There he waits, not to kill, but to test. And the boy comes. Too soon, too proud, but willing. He fights the Dark Lord, steel against shadow, hope against despair, and he fails. Vader strikes, cuts him, breaks him, not just his body, but his faith. And then he speaks the words that shatter the stars. No, I am your father. Luke falls, not just from the platform, but into chaos, into knowing the war is no longer strategy. It is blood, and Vader, who once thought he had no past, no future, now sees a thread unbroken, a line that leads not to Sidious, but to redemption. Perhaps, remember this chapter. Listener, in the dark, even shadows cast from broken stars can still reach toward the light dot, and in that chamber, on that day, it was not the saber that cut deepest, it was the truth. The boy lives, the father waits, and destiny trembles. Chapter 12. A son's choice, a father's chain. The child fled the darkness, but the darkness did not let go. He fell, not to death, but to decision. Luke, now marked by blood and revelation, spirals down into silence. The galaxy receives him not as a hero, but as a wound. The saber is lost. The truth is known. The light dims, and yet he lives. Leia finds him, not by logic, not by signal, but by pull. The bond already begins, not of romance, but of origin. She touches his hand, and though she knows not why, the Force answers in that touch. The prophecy stirs, again. The twins are no longer hidden, they are known, but Vader too is changed, not triumphant, not fulfilled. He had spoken truth, a truth he long feared, and in doing so, he cracked the shell Sidious built around him. He paces now, not as a predator, but as a prisoner, for the chain around him is no longer forged by fire, but by hope. Hope that his son might join him, not to destroy, but to restore. He does not tell the Emperor all he withholds. A flicker of the old, Anakin, rebellious, daring stirs. Beneath the mask, Sidious watches, suspicious, cunning, but even he cannot see all ends. Not yet, Luke returns. 2 Dagobah, weakened, wounded. Wiser, he kneels before Yoda, not as a student, but as a son of ruin. He asks, "Is it true?" And Yoda answers, with silence. Then with sorrow, "Your father he is, yes." The last master of the old Jedi speaks now in riddles and regret. He does not fear Vader's power. He fears Luke's love, attachment, that ancient plague, the root of Anakin's fall. And now, perhaps Luke's, but Yoda's time ends, his body, fragile, his spirit, vast. He fades into the mist of Dagobah's breath, becoming voice, becoming echo. One last truth he grants. There is another. Leia, the other flame, the other chance. Luke does not yet tell her, not in words, but something unspoken, now binds them. Elsewhere, Vader waits, not idly, not patiently. He speaks across void and dream. To Luke, to the bond now forming, join me, it is your destiny. He does not threaten, not always. Sometimes he pleads. The voice is steel, but beneath it a father's ache. Luke trains in silence, with no master, only memory. Only will he rebuilds the saber, not to kill, but to stand. He dons black, not as Sith, but as mirror. He walks willingly into the trap, to Ender, to Vader, to fate. When father and son meet again, there is no fire, only stillness. Luke surrenders. Vader regards him not as prisoner, but as possibility. He sees the boy's courage, his peace, his restraint, and he remembers. For a breath, he remembers. Anakin, let me save you, father, Luke says. There is good in you. And those words strike harder than any blade. He does not answer. He turns away, but something in him bends. Remember this chapter, listener lost in the past. The son did not choose war. He chose mercy, and the father, though bound by shadow, felt the chain loosen, not broken, not yet, but loosened, and destiny holds its breath. Chapter 13. The Emperor's Throne. The final lie beneath the lightning. Truth is offered and refused. And so the players reach the end of their spiral paths. The son, clad in shadows, not his own, stands before the architect of agony. The father, half machine, half memory, whispers behind him, a sentinel of silence. And upon the throne of ruin, the emperor waits. Sidious, Palpatine, wrath made flesh. This is not a throne of rule. It is a trap, not for armies, but for souls. The chamber breathes power. The walls listen. The darkness coils, not as absence, but as presence. Luke kneels not in worship, but in warning, and still the old serpent smiles. Strike him down, he says, not in anger, but in patience, like a spider savoring the trembling of a caught fly. Use your hate, your pain, and your journey will be complete. Luke sees it now. The throne is not Sidious's. It is a mirror, a reflection of every fear the Jedi once buried. This is how Anakin fell. This is how many will fall, not by blade, but by invitation. Vader watches. Wordless the son speaks. I will not fight. But Sidious knows the wound to press. He turns his gaze to Leia, your sister. The Force shudders, and Luke answers, not in calm, but in rage. The saber ignites, not for justice, but for vengeance, and Vader meets him. Steel against steel, as prophecy holds its breath. This duel is no mere clash of warriors. It is a storm. Sparks erupt. Emotions rise. Hope withers. The son strikes with fury. The father defends with memory. And with each blow, a life is recalled. A birth, a death, a promise undone. But then the turning. Luke drives Vader back. Brutal, merciless. He cuts down with finality, and the father falls hand severed, the same hand once taken from him. Luke stands over Vader, saber raised, breath heaving. The Emperor whispers behind him, yes. Good. The darkness opens, ready to consume. But Luke, son of Anakin, heir of both shadow and light, sees the wire, the ash, the blood. He looks upon his father and sees himself. He steps back, saber off, and speaks the words that seal his soul. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. The room breaks. The Emperor howls, no longer patient, no longer amused. His mask of serenity cracks, and from his fingers the storm, lightning, unnatural and pure, strikes Luke. Flesh smolders, bones seize, cries echo. The boy falls, and Vader watches silent, bound then. He chooses. He lifts his eyes, not to the Emperor, but to the child, and in that gaze, Anakin returns. not as Jedi, not as slave, but as father. He takes the Emperor, the master who chained him, and casts him into death. Lightning rises, screams, spiral, and darkness devours itself. The throne is empty, the lyre is gone, but Vader falls, breath broken, body failing, the mask hisses, the machine dies, and in those final moments, he asks Luke, "Let me see you with my own eyes." And so the mask is lifted, not for air, but for truth. A scarred face, eyes filled with light, and a whisper, "You were right. Tell your sister, you were right." Remember this chapter, listener, in the silence. The throne was meant to devour them both, but in its shadow one soul was lost and another found. The prophecy breaks like dawn, chapter 14, the pyre. And the ghost, the fire, does not destroy the shadow. It sets it free. The stars hold their breath. The battle ends. The tyrant falls. The sky, once pierced by war, now glows with silence. But below, on the forest moon of Endor, a different rite begins. Not of victory, not of war, but of remembrance. Luke carries the body alone, not as prisoner, not as Jedi, as son. The armor is heavy, not with metal, but with meaning. Each step is a dirge, each breath a farewell. He says nothing. The galaxy may cheer, but Luke mourns. The pyre is built in silence. No crowd, no ritual, only wood and fire and memory. He lays his father down Darth Vader's form, hollow and scorched, but beneath that shell, Anakin, he lights the flame. It crackles, it hisses, it hits us, but the Force does not recoil. It gathers not to consume, but to release. The smoke rises like a ghost. Ash spirals toward the stars, not as cursed as offering the sun. Watches his face unreadable, and somewhere in the fire's glow, a promise is fulfilled. The chosen one has returned, but death is not the end, not for those marked by the Force. As the fire fades, Luke feels it, a presence, a warmth beyond the flames. He turns and sees them, three figures shrouded in light, not bodies, not dreams, echoes, OBI-1. Yoda and Anakin, not the mask, not the shadow, but the man before the fall. Eyes clear, face calm, spirit whole. He does not speak. He does not need to. The glance between father and son bridges everything unspoken. Grief, forgiveness, love. Leia watches from a distance. She cannot see what he sees. Not yet, but she feels something. A thread pulling gently at the edge of her being. And, within her, the seed of the Force stirs. The galaxy celebrates. Empires crumble, statues fall. Music fills the void where commands once echoed, but the deeper war, the one within the soul, was fought in silence, and won in flame. The Jedi are not reborn with banners. There is no temple, no decree, there is only one, and his path is uncertain. Luke walks into the trees, not as hero, as keeper. Remember this chapter. Listener among the ashes, the fire that devoured the tyrant, also freed the father. The name Vader fades with the smoke, but the echo of Anakin endures. For the Force, though vast, does not forget redemption, even after darkness. Chapter 15. The Tomb of the Jedi. What is buried is not always dead. Beneath the surface of the galaxy, beneath all empires and rebellions, there lies something older than Vader, older than Sidious, older than war. It is memory bound in stone, whispers carved in dust, a silence that hums like a wound. This is the place Luke must go, not called by counsel, not led by map. The Force pulls him here to the grave of 1,000 oaths, to the tomb. Of the Jedi he lands alone, the world unnamed, dead to charts, alive in dream. Ruins rise like teeth from the sand, columns broken, statues melted by time. But something waits within, not a ghost, not a presence, a weight. He descends. The ancient steps, each footfall a prayer, each breath a question. He carries no weapon now, only the saber at his side unlit. He comes not to fight, but to listen. The tomb opens before him, a vast chamber of stillness, walls adorned with crumbled Jedi sigils, names lost to war, visions painted in ashdot. He feels them watching, not with eyes, with memory. There are sarcophagi here, stone and silent, some sealed, some shattered. He sees the broken ones first, and knows what broke them, not time, but betrayal. These are the fallen, not by blade, but by choice. One sarcophagus bears a name, faint in the dust. Torsenvel, keeper of the outer flame. Luke does not know him. No records mention him. Yet he feels the sorrow etched in the stone. A Jedi once, a wanderer later, a traitor in the end, or merely a man undone by the weight of prophecy. He kneels at the tombs. Center there is no altar, only a ring of stone, a meditation. Circle, long cracked. He closes his eyes, and the Force opens. Voices, not loud, not clear, but layered. Centuries of Jedi, of regret, of faith. Some whisper warnings, others scream denial, but one voice rises above them all. Anakin, not Vader, not the Sith, but Anakin, and it says, I was never the first to fall. I was only the loudest. Luke trembles, not in fear, in recognition. He sees now the Jedi did not fall all at once. They diminished by pride, by silence, by severing love from truth. Anakin's fall was not the shattering, it was the reveal. A beam of ancient light breaks. Through the ruined ceiling, it illuminates a single carving on the far wall. A tree, roots tangled, trunk split, branches burned, but still reaching upward. Luke places his hand on the stone and speaks aloud. I will not sever what I am. I will not repeat your silence. I am not only Jedi, I am Skywalker. The Force answers, not with thunder, with stillness, and in that stillness, a seed is planted, a new order. Perhaps, but not yet. First understanding, he leaves the tomb as he entered, alone, but not as he was. The darkness behind him now serves as shadow, not master, and the voices of the Jedi rest for the first time in centuries. Remember this chapter, seeker of forgotten truths. A tomb is not merely for the dead, it is for the living to learn what not to become. The Jedi Order was not murdered, it withered, and now a new blade may grow from the ashes. Chapter 16. The Temple Reborn in Silence. Not all temples rise with stone. Some grow beneath the skin. There is no fanfare, no rallying horn, no Jedi council to summon or anoint. And yet a temple begins, not in Coruscant's towers, nor the ruined halls of Jeddah, but in the quiet places, where the Force still dreams. Luke walks among the stars, not as a warrior, not as a general, but As a gardener of broken legacies, he finds forgotten places, shrines worn thin by time, caves etched by old seekers, forests where the midichlorians still whisper, each one a fragment of what was, each one a thread of what could be. He carries no dogma, no laws, only questions, and the echo of his father's fall pressed into his bones. He speaks not of Jedi dominance, but of balance, not of ascension, but of humility. In the stone ruins of Ossus, he lights no candles, he carves no new code. He sits and listens, and the stones remember. Children find him, not through holonets or legend, but through dreams. A girl who touches stars in her sleep, a boy who hears music in stillness, a silent child who sees death and does not fear it. They do not know what a Jedi is, but they know him. He teaches them not forms, but feelings. He does not erase fear, he honors it. He does not promise glory, he teaches truth, that the Force is not a ladder to climb, but a river to serve. He builds nothing, no spires, no battalions, only circles, one of stone in the forest, one of footprints in the sand, one of souls around a fire. Each time he tells them a story, not of war, not of Sith, but of Anakin. He does not hide the fall, he names it. He lets them feel the grief of it, the sharp edges, the lies that tasted like salvation. And in naming it, he breaks the cycle. He says, the Force is not light or dark, it is truth, and truth must be faced. And slowly the Force begins to flow differently, not in torrents of battle, but in gentle tides. Children lift pebbles with thought. They sense pain in others and heal it, not to win, but to connect. There is no ceremony, but one day, the silent child carves a mark in a tree, a spiral, not Jedi, not Sith, something new. Luke does not correct her, he simply smiles. Leia visits once, she does not stay, but she walks the forest. She places a hand on the spiral, and she says, he would have loved this. Luke nods, he does not say whose name she means. For in the silence, father, son, sister, shadow, all are present, all are part. Remember this chapter, dreamer of futures. The temple is not stone, it is not counsel, it is not law, it is remembering and choosing again and again to grow from it. Chapter 17. The last shadow of Vader. Even when the monster is dead, its echo feeds on memory. The galaxy moves on, empires fall, flags burn, worlds rebuild. But shadows do not obey time. They linger in the minds of the broken, in the hearts of the fearful, in the hollow spaces between stars, and one shadow remains. Vader? He is gone, and yet not. His name is whispered, still in the outer rim, not as a man, but as myth. Parents warn children, obey, or the black mask will find you. Officials invoke him to justify control. Soldiers paint him on war banners as a symbol of fear, not knowing he died in grace. And deeper still, in dark corners of the Force, there are those who worship him, not Anakin, not Skywalker, but Vader the Eternal. They chant his name in ruined temples. They bleed themselves in rituals. They craft masks and wear them as devotion, not in understanding. In hunger, Luke feels this rot across the stars. It pulls at the threads he's begun to mend. A presence not of spirit, but of imitation, a mimicry of evil, hollow, and loud. He journeys to one such world. A dead moon, no life. No light, but noise. echoes of Veda's breath, replicated in machines, revered as gospel. He steps into the ruin. It reeks of rust and ritual. A child wearing a black helmet greets him. Are you the son of the mask? Luke removes the helmet from the child, sets it down, looks him in the eyes. That mask was worn by a man, and the man was lost. But he found his way home. The child does not understand, not yet, but he listens, and that is enough. Luke burns the false relics, not in rage. In mercy, he sings no hymns, speaks no curses. He lets fire do its work, and in the ashes, he buries the final fragment of Veda. But there is another place he must go. Not a tomb, a record dot, the old data vaults of the Empire, black archives, hidden deep in broken satellites. Within them, footage, testimonies, crimes, Veda's voice, his blade, his deeds. Luke does not destroy them. He watches, he witnesses every cruelty, every silence, every scream. He does not look away, because the galaxy must not forget. Redemption is not the erasure of sin, it is the bearing of it. He stores the footage in a crystal, not to teach fear, but to teach truth. One day he will give it to his students and say, "This was my father, this is who he became, and this is what he overcame." Leah visits again. She holds the crystal in her hands, and though she cannot watch it, she places it within the stone spiral, buries it there, and says, "Let his darkness teach our light." The mask is gone. The name is Ashdod. But the lesson remains that even in the deepest fall, there may be ascent. Remember this chapter, bearer of legacies. The shadow does not vanish when the sun rises, but it softens, it lengthens, it teaches. The echo of Veda will fade, but the truth of Anakin shall endure. Chapter 18. The Chosen One fulfilled prophecy is not destiny, it is invitation. So the tale returns to its root, to the riddle spoken in ancient fire. A chosen one shall come, born of no father, balanced in the force, to bring the darkness low. For generations, they searched for the shape of that one. A warrior, a savior, a flame too pure to be shadowed. They thought they would know him by his power, and they did, but not by the power they expected. Anakin was born of prophecy, but lived as contradiction. Jedi and slave, son and orphan, hero and monster. He brought ruin, he birthed terror. He shattered the temple, and yet he returned. Not in triumph, but in surrender, not with blade drawn, but with hands opened. In the belly of the Death Star, amid smoke and screams, he chose to turn Dot, to lift his son, to kill his master, and to die unmasked. That was the moment, not his birth, not his battles, but his choice to cast away the darkness he had made his home, to walk, stumbling, into the light for someone else. That was balance. The Force did not thunder, the stars did not applaud, but something old and hidden shifted. A shadow that had ruled for centuries cracked, and the veil began to thin. Luke carries this understanding now, not as burden, but as seed. He does not claim the prophecy. He does not wield it as law. He honors it by continuing its truth. Every child he teaches, every broken soul he listens to, every echo he calms, continues the work that Anakin began in death. There is no monument, no statue of Vader, no relic of Skywalker, only a small grove where once was ruin. Now trees bend toward the stars, and beneath them children meditate. not to become great, but to become clear. Leah stands at the edge, one day. She hears a voice on the wind. It is not her father's, and yet it is not words, but a feeling, peace. She does not cry. She simply breathes. Far away, a child draws in the dirt, a figure of light, standing between two shadows. Above it, she writes a name. Not Anakin, not Vader, but Balance. Remember this final chapter, Keeper of Myth. The chosen one was not born to be idle, nor warning, nor God. He was born to fall, so that others would know how to rise. And in that rise, the prophecy breathes. The echo fades, the holocron dims. The voice you've heard for hours falls now into silence. But silence is not ending. Silence is the invitation to continue the story. To walk into the Force as Anakin did. Unmasked, unchained, alive. And thus the balance was begun.